The Antikythera paradox, the ancient machine that shouldn't exist. For over a century, scientists have tried to explain an object that should not exist. An object so complex, so precise, so advanced, that it challenges everything we believe about ancient history. It was found in 1901 inside a shipwreck off the coast of the tiny Greek island Antikythera. At first, divers thought it was nothing more than a corroded lump of bronze. But when the pieces were cleaned, they revealed gears, dozens of them, meshing together with the precision of a Swiss watch. But this was no watch. This was an analog computer built over 2,000 years ago. A machine created centuries before the invention of clockwork, before medieval astronomy, before precise metallurgy, a machine that should not have existed at that time. And yet, there it was, the Antikythera Mechanism. In the year 1900, sponge divers sailed through rough seas near Antikythera. One diver, Elias Stadiatis, dove down to explore the depths. When he resurfaced, he was shaking. He claimed he had seen a heap of dead men scattered across the ocean floor. It wasn't bodies, it was statues. Bronze, marble, gold, a sunken treasure of the ancient world. Among these treasures, archaeologists recovered an object unlike anything ever found. A heavily corroded bronze fragment with delicate teeth carved into its edge. Nobody paid much attention at first. It was too damaged, too strange, too unfamiliar. But then, in 1902, archaeologist Valerio Stais looked closely and saw something impossible. A gear. Not a decorative element, not a casual engraving. A functional, mathematically precise gear. This was the moment history cracked open. To understand the shock of this discovery, we must remember. The earliest known medieval clockwork appears around the 13th century AD. The Antikythera mechanism was built around 150–100 BC. That means it predates the invention of complex gearing by over 1,000 years. And this wasn't a simple device. It contained at least 30 bronze gears, precision-cut teeth, a differential gear system, an epicyclic gear train, a lunar phase indicator, a solar calendar, a planetary predictive model. This is engineering so advanced that when modern watchmakers examined it, they said, this level of precision should not have existed in 100 BC. The mechanism included a gear that could calculate the moon's elliptical orbit, something not fully understood until Johannes Kepler, over 1,600 years later. How could an ancient civilization that lacked telescopes, lacked industrial tools, lacked precision machinery, build something that rivals Renaissance engineering? For decades, scientists argued about its purpose. Was it an astrolabe? A clock? A navigation system? A calendar? A ritual device? Only in the last 20 years have researchers uncovered its true function. The Antikythera mechanism was an analog computer that predicted solar eclipses, calculated lunar phases, tracked planetary positions, modeled astronomical cycles, calculated the timing of ancient Greek festivals, and perhaps encoded astronomical knowledge far older than Greece itself. One dial predicted eclipses using the 2123-month Saros cycle, something that required centuries of precise observation. Another calculated the Metonic cycle, aligning the lunar and solar calendars every 19 years. This was not a toy, not a curiosity, not a simple instrument. It was a high-precision scientific computer built in an age where such knowledge shouldn't have existed. To build something like the Antikythera mechanism, you need metallurgy capable of casting uniform bronze plates, tools capable of cutting perfect gear teeth, mathematical models of astronomical cycles, knowledge of differential gearing, and craftsmen capable of assembling a mechanism with tolerances tighter than 1 millimeter. But here's the problem. None of this should have existed in the ancient Mediterranean. Bronze tools of that era were not precise enough. Ancient texts do not describe such machines. No other artifact like it has ever been found. So where did this knowledge come from? Some historians argue the Greeks inherited a forgotten scientific tradition from earlier civilizations, perhaps from the Minoans, the Egyptians, or a culture that left no written record. Others suggest the mechanism was a one-of-a-kind masterpiece built by a lone genius, a Da Vinci of the ancient world, whose name was lost to time. But then came a discovery that changed everything. In 2005, scientists used high-resolution X-ray tomography to scan the device. What they found was astonishing. Inside the mechanism were hidden inscriptions, buried gear systems, mathematical formulas, gear ratios encoding astronomical constants. The scans revealed instructions, tiny engravings explaining how to operate the device. This proves the mechanism wasn't symbolic, it wasn't ceremonial. It was an actual functional machine used by someone who needed accurate astronomical predictions. And the most shocking part? The gear ratios were so precise, some experts believe the maker must have had access to lost mathematical knowledge, a tradition of gear making older than the Greeks, or instruments we have never discovered. Here is the big question nobody can answer. How do you build a computer with technology that didn't exist yet? Historians have proposed three main theories. 1. Theory: it was built by Hipparchus or his followers. Hipparchus was the greatest ancient Greek astronomer. He knew the lunar cycles, planetary motions, and developed trigonometry. Some believe the device was based on his work. The problem? Hipparchus never described anything like it, and no evidence shows he had access to precision gearing. 2. Theory: it came from an unknown advanced tradition. This theory suggests the Greeks received knowledge from older civilizations, much older civilizations that mastered sciences long forgotten, possibly from the Near East, or even farther back, into prehistory. This theory aligns with recent discoveries at Göbekli Tepe, Derinkuyu, Sacsayhuaman, all sites that shouldn't exist at their level of complexity. 3. Theory: it was one of many, but the only one survived. Some scientists argue the mechanism wasn't unique. It was simply the only one that didn't vanish due to war, looting, decay, remelting bronze for weapons. If true, ancient history would need to be rewritten, because that would mean ancient civilizations had machines more advanced than anything found before medieval Europe. In recent years, researchers reconstructed a missing fragment of the mechanism using mathematical modeling. This missing piece allowed them to rebuild the device's front display. And what they found stunned the scientific community. The mechanism could track the complex, irregular orbit of the moon using a pin-and-slot epicyclic gear system. This type of mechanism wasn't reinvented until the late 17th century. So the Antikythera mechanism contains engineering at least 1,700 years ahead of its time. This isn't just advanced, it's impossible. Among the tiny inscriptions revealed through X-ray scans, researchers found references to the Egyptian calendar, Babylonian eclipse cycles, Greek astronomical models, and mysterious numerical codes. But one inscription stood out, a phrase that loosely translates to, "The harmony that governs the heavens governs all." Some experts believe this line isn't philosophical, it's instructional, a hint that the mechanism was designed to imitate cosmic order. In other words, the Antikythera mechanism didn't just show the movements of celestial bodies, it was built to mirror them, a scaled-down, mechanical model of the universe, a cosmos machine. Here's what makes the mechanism so deeply unsettling. To build it, you'd need high-speed drills, precise gear-cutting tools, advanced mathematics, centuries of astronomical observation, and metallurgical expertise far beyond what Greece possessed. Yet no workshop has ever been found. No blueprints, no tools, no other device like it. This is why many historians quietly admit, this artifact doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the timeline. It doesn't fit the archaeology. It doesn't fit the technological level. The Antikythera mechanism is a historical orphan, a piece of evidence from a world we don't understand. The Antikythera mechanism leaves us with a paradox. Either the ancient Greeks possessed technology far beyond what history records, or they inherited it from a civilization that has completely vanished. Both options break the standard historical model. If Greece invented it, then their knowledge was centuries ahead of Europe, entirely undocumented, completely lost after a single generation. If they inherited it, then who gave them the knowledge? A forgotten Mediterranean culture, an advanced pre-flood civilization, a society erased by time, something older than Egypt itself? We don't know, and that's the heart of the mystery. In recent years, researchers reconstructed the machine using a full mathematical model, and when the final gears were connected, when the virtual device came to life, they observed something unbelievable. The mechanism ran perfectly. The lunar cycles synced. The solar calendar aligned. The eclipse predictions matched reality. The planetary motions followed ancient astronomical models with astonishing precision. It worked. It actually worked. This means the ancient engineers didn't make a lucky guess. They knew exactly what they were doing, which raises the final and most important question. Civilizations don't suddenly invent technology at level 100. They evolve through stages. Trial and error, prototypes, failure, redesign, improvement. But with the Antikythera mechanism, there is no earlier version, no later version, no workshop, no tradition, no evolutionary ladder. It appears fully formed, like a one-off masterpiece, like a copy of something older, like knowledge passed down, not discovered. Some believe this knowledge came from the ancient Minoans, proto-Egyptian astronomer priests, the lost mariners of the Bronze Age, or an unknown advanced prehistoric culture wiped out by catastrophe. We don't know, but the fact remains. Whoever built this machine knew things they shouldn't have known. Here is the truth almost no textbook mentions. The Antikythera mechanism was not just an ancient computer, it was the pinnacle of a technological tradition we have never found. A tradition erased from history. And that means one of two things must be true. Option 1. History is incomplete. We are missing an entire chapter of ancient scientific development. Option 2. History is wrong. The timeline of human technological evolution is upside down. This device doesn't just question history, it defies it. In museums around the world, artifacts tell the story of human progress. Slow, steady, predictable. But the Antikythera mechanism doesn't fit that story. It is a glitch, a paradox, a whisper from a forgotten world. Proof that the ancients understood the cosmos far better than we ever imagined, or proof that their knowledge came from somewhere or someone long lost. The greatest mystery is not how the Antikythera mechanism works. The greatest mystery is, where did the knowledge come from?